Thomas Merton once said, "If you want to identify me, ask me not where I live, or what I like to eat, or, ironically, how I comb my hair. Ask me what I'm living for in detail, and ask me what I think is keeping me from fully living for the thing I want to live for." Here in Mark 9, the original story, perhaps, of the Transfiguration, the disciples are terrified. An argument can be made that the word that's translated as terrified would best be translated as freaking out. They are freaking out up on this mountaintop. It may sound like the most holy of put-downs. "This is my son, the beloved. Listen to him, Peter. Peter, stop talking, Peter. Listen, Peter. Listen to him, Peter." On that mountaintop, Peter's response is probably one that would mirror my own, I'm imagining. Happy to talk rather than listen. Happy to talk over, more content to act like we know what we're doing rather than surrendering to the moment. Happy to try and be in control. Just do something, even when such control is patently, obviously impossible. Peter, listen. Listen. Just stop talking, Peter. Make some space for silence, for awe, for reverence, for gratitude. You do not have to insert your words into every moment. Of course, the story isn't really about Peter's habit of blurting things out or the disciples' propensity for freaking out. It's not really about shiny clothes. It's about a moment of encounter with something glorious, too fine for human comprehension. How do you imagine such a moment? How do you conjure up such a moment? How do you imagine awe? How do you encounter awe? This is the human dilemma always, isn't it? How can we say nothing in the face of such wonder and beauty, but if we say anything, it's bound to be inadequate. It's bound to miss the mark. Of course, many artists have attempted to capture this moment up on the mountaintop. Theophanes, the Greek in the 15th century, created this beautiful icon. Carracci, Raphael, Bellini. All of these renderings from Europe in the Middle Ages make note of Jesus' white clothes. There is light that surrounds him. All of the characters are looking somewhere other than at you and me. I was particularly struck, though, by this rendering from Augustin Kolawole Olayinka, a Nigerian artist, a church music director, a Sunday school teacher, who takes the classical representations of the Transfiguration and reorients us in this episode. In the traditional portrayals, we're the audience watching someone else have an experience. It's something to talk about or discuss. We peruse the details of who is doing what and when. There's a sense that this is a moment in history that is being brought to life in the artist's rendering, but Kolawole Olayinka reframes this by having Jesus, Moses, and Elijah come towards you. Look not far off into the distance, or even look to the skies or the heavens, but come towards you, looking at you, reminding you that this episode wasn't simply for Peter's benefit or for the betterment of people 2,000 years ago. The artist is bringing you in, reminding you that You're a part of this story. The color of the clothes is different too, right? The text makes a big deal out of whiteness, dazzling whiteness. The whites never get whiter, as if we're talking about the finest Clorox to be sold on the supermarket shelves. Razzle dazzle, something different, blinding, something we can't quite connect to, supernatural, otherworldly. But Kolawale Olayinka turns this on its head. Rather than the clothes being so white that they blind us, the clothes of Jesus reflect the tones and colors of the sky and the earth. The world and the world beyond is coming towards you, inviting you. Elijah even appears to be smiling. Transfiguration is not actually described in Mark. We don't really know what it means. Luke and Matthew will come along and say it means that Jesus' face becomes radiant, but Mark doesn't tell us. We're left to wonder. Mark doesn't fill in the gaps. And so Kolawale Olayinka asks you, the Transfiguration, what is happening? And also, who is it happening to? Is it also happening to you, with you, for you? If you want to identify me, ask me not where I live or what I like to eat or how I comb my hair, but ask me what I'm living for in detail. And ask me what I think is keeping me from fully living for the thing I want to live for. What do I want to live for? I can't really ask and answer this question very well if I don't have a sense of awe. I mean, are you living for something that doesn't provoke awe in some capacity? What are you living for? What is your mission statement? Are you here to make life better for others? Are you here to further usher in God's reign, to realize the kingdom, to make beautiful things, to be in harmony with one another, with nature, to find love, to generate love, to share love, to spread love, to make life better, to be a peacemaker, to provide hope, to do my part, to lift up that which needs care, to take care of all of God's creatures, to help others find their potential, to make art, to provide extravagant hospitality, to make things better, to alleviate pain, to be a listener, to be a friend, to feed someone who is hungry, to celebrate life and all that is living? Is that what you are living for? One of those sentiments, one of those commitments, one of those callings, one of those opportunities to be in covenant? It's been tough at times over the past year to do the things that provide many of us with the most joy. Some of these things have been beyond our control, completely outside of our control. In email correspondence over the course of the last couple of days, Karen Whitehouse, our chair of outreach, our outreach committee, stirred up within me memories of our congregation's commitments to helping people come to America and to settle in America as refugees. The happiness that comes not with the peace, love, and harmony of welcoming someone at the airport, but the hard work, the joy of helping people find jobs or deal with challenging landlords or learn the language or enroll in school. And some of the barriers that have been in place to doing this kind of work have been outside of our control. The last administration turned off the flow of refugees to our country and forced asylum seekers to wait for hearings on the other side of the border, and then used COVID as a pretext to trap those people semi-permanently. Thousands of people have been stuck along our border, living in temporary camps, making ends meet some kind of way, stuck, not able to return to where they came from and not able to get a hearing in America. What do you live for? Why are you here? It's funny that we have all these grand plans for our lives about what we want to accomplish and what we want to do with ourselves. Many of us have degrees and ambition, and there's nothing wrong with either of those things. But it's odd, isn't it? It's odd, isn't it, that you can find the most contentment in your life sometimes doing something that you never thought could possibly bring you joy. To stand in a bus station, handing out cereal to little children. This man behind the table is Sergio Cordova, one of the leaders of Team Brownsville down in Texas. Been seeing messages from Sergio a lot this week. This is the scene outside the bus station. Dave, why are you showing me pictures of empty chairs outside a bus station? On Friday of this week, people who were stuck in Matamoros, Nuevo Laredo, and other ports of entry over the last 2 years, living in camps at our border for 2 years, have been told that they will begin to cross the bridge or bridges. Some of those people who have been stuck in Matamoros for the last 2 years will sit right here in these chairs at this bus station and then catch buses to make their way to towns and cities around the United States to await their hearings, but in the company of family or friends in the United States, not in a tent in the dirt on the banks of the Rio Grande. 2 years. 2 years to catch a bus, 2 years to be given a chance, 2 years just to have a chance to plead your case, 2 years to get an opportunity to get out of the heat or the cold. I'm in awe of the mistreatment, yes, of the racism that caused this chaos and misery, yes. But I am in awe of the resilience, of the signs that this is going to be over. I'm in awe that the camp is actually at some point going to close. It might take a while, but it is going to close. I'm near dumbstruck that this could finally be underway. After all that these asylum seekers, these beautiful children of God have been through, after all the waiting and hoping and praying and all of the injustice, there's progress finally, hallelujah. People will sit in these chairs this week after waiting 2 years to take one more step forward in their lives. The signs of hope are there. This is not just about being well-intentioned, right? This is not just about meaning well. What is about to take place is a result of advocacy and hanging in there and pushing and pleading and praying and believing that this could someday, that these camps could someday come to a close. We're not quite there. There's a ways to go, but I am in awe after feeling so stuck for so long, after feeling so helpless and hopeless, after wondering if there could ever be a way through for these asylum seekers, if these people would ever get to cross the bridge that I so freely crossed multiple times, if the tents could be collapsed, if the sleeping bags could finally be rolled up, if the mats could finally be folded, if these beautiful people could find a way. The Transfiguration in Kolowale Olayinka's rendering is otherworldly and very this world, here and not quite here, radiance and magnificence, a smile on Elijah's face, halos and mountaintops, but the earth is reflected in Jesus' clothes, here and not quite here, reality and hope, heaven and earth, invitation and welcome, a walking towards you not because you're the audience, but because you are a participant, not because you're tasked with just taking it in, but because you're called to join in on the miracle, to co-create, to join in wonder, to move past thinking of life as just a grind, but to ask again and again, what am I living for? What am I really living for? What am I really here to do? And I say these words today because I get it. It is really easy after what happened in our nation's capital yesterday to be cynical and downbeat and depressed and upset and angry at the complicity and arrogance and two-facedness of someone saying that somebody's responsible for all this and we're not going to hold him responsible for all of this. I understand that. I totally get that. And for me, at least right now, I have to move. I have to put one foot in front of the other and take a step. I cannot get stuck here. I cannot keep allowing this stuff to keep taking space in my head without the leaders paying any rent. What am I here for? What am I really here for? What does it mean for Jesus and Moses and Elijah to walk towards me, inviting me? Smilingly inviting me and you, welcoming me and you, reflecting heaven and earth in reality and beyond reality. Well, some days I need to be awestruck, to be dumbstruck, to be grateful, to live in hope. Things do actually change. Things can get better. Thanks be to God.